Tonight marks exactly 6 months to the day since a mob laid siege to the nation's capital. Not long ago, the FBI released even more new videos of the January attack as it steps up the search for some of the most violent rioters. They include those who directly targeted law enforcement as they tried to protect the Capitol complex. These new images are disturbing and leave no questions about what officers were facing that day.
Chill, bro. Chill, man. Get out of here. This is our house.
The Justice Department also released new footage from inside the Capitol. The rioters can be seen trying to force their way into the Senate chambers and taunting those officers who were trying to keep them out. More than 500 rioters have been arrested in connection with what was essentially a failed attempt to keep President Biden from taking office. Late today, the winner of November's election issued a statement. It read in part, quote, "This was not dissent. This was disorder. It posed an existential crisis and a test of whether our democracy could survive. A sad reminder that there is nothing guaranteed about our democracy." This past weekend, the man who lost November's election continued to push the very lies that fueled the January 6th insurrection.
We won so much, and then we had a rigged election. Democrats used COVID to cheat. They illegally changed the rules in the key states and mailed out millions and millions and millions of absentee ballots. How come so many people are still in jail over January 6th?
Of course, Trump did not win the election. No evidence of widespread fraud or illegal activity was found. Court case after court case that attempted to overturn legitimate results tossed out. Earlier on this network, one counterterrorism expert warned of the threat of more violence sparked by those falsehoods about the 2020 election.
There has been no real repercussions to the political leaders for the big lie about voter fraud that did not occur. There's been no repercussions for the extremists that stormed their own house. You will see them again begin to embrace violent rhetoric or incitement, which will lead to violence not just at a federal location, but state and local locations.
Phil Rucker, obviously, you have covered not just Donald Trump extensively, but also his political circle. Help us get some perspective here. What or who is stoking these continued lies about 2020, the belief that somehow, somewhere, the results are still going to get overturned? I mean, is this still Trump's ego? Who's he listening to these days? Help us understand where we are right now.
Well, Chris, it's an important question. And, you know, all of my reporting suggests that it's Trump himself who's directing the continuation of this big lie throughout the Republican Party and, of course, throughout his orbit. Now, he's not the only one responsible. He's, of course, having inputs of information from throughout his political circle, from his various allies, political allies, from conspiracists. He's being shown, you know, articles or theories or commentary that he sees on some right-wing cable shows or radio shows suggesting that not only was the election stolen, but that there's a hope with these, you know, quote unquote recounts that are underway of somehow overturning the result and reinstating Trump as president. Now, it's not clear he actually believes he will be reinstated when he thinks, you know, rationally, but nonetheless, he is continuing to press this falsehood, this lie that the election was stolen from him, that he was the rightful winner, and that Joe Biden's victory as the president is somehow illegitimate.
And of course, AB, the extension of this belief that somehow this was all fraudulent, the 2020 election, is the idea that really not that much happened on January 6th. I want to play what Adam Kinzinger had to say on CNN.
I think the vast majority, if not all of them, my colleagues believe that this was a Trump-incited insurrection. But when you're in a tribe and, if you say something truthful that gets you kicked out of the tribe, you keep your head down and you stay in the tribe.
You keep your head down and you stay in the tribe, AB. I mean, video after video, pleas from Capitol officers who were there that day, seemingly having no effect. What is keeping Republicans from publicly acknowledging what we can see happened on January 6th?
It's really devastating, Chris, to see these new videos come out. It's really difficult to watch, but so important to really amplify the violence and that we saw that day and the tragedy we saw that day, but also the threat that continues and could result in future political violence. All of the members of Congress who are backing the big lie and whitewashing January 6th know what happened that day. They don't even need to watch the videos like Americans who don't really know the full extent of what happened that day. They know, and they are embracing this sort of walking back of the big lie in service to Donald Trump because it serves the big lie. So you have to say January 6th was no big deal, and you have to say the election was stolen. Members who will not say the words the election was stolen say things like, my constituents have so many questions, so we have to give them answers. And we desperately need new voting laws because we need voter integrity. But you saw those words from Donald Trump just a few days ago. He not only continues it, he adds more emphasis, more detail, and more specifics. And that is the litmus test for all of Republican primary politics going forward. So anyone wanting to keep their seat next year down to the local level is embracing the big lie and saying to Americans, January 6th is some Washington-focused obsession. It's like what elitists are focused on. Most of us don't care. We went on with our lives. It just was something that got out of control. I've had these conversations with people who have told me this. And so it is directly emanating from the top, from President Trump. We saw that because we saw the leadership, including Lindsey Graham, his good friend, walk away from Donald Trump on January 6th and then circle right back because of those pressures in the days and weeks to come.